Hi there! Yesterday we talked about strength training and why building muscle is the key to sustainable fat loss. Peppy. Better metabolism and long-term health. And now that you have the foundations nailed down, there is something even more important that I want to discuss. How we need to support our bodies differently from men. Because most health and fitness advice is based on male physiology because most studies are done on men. And so what's the problem with that? We are not small men. Our hormones, metabolism, and stress response were completely different, which means we need a different approach to food, exercise, and recovery, especially in our reproductive years. And so today we're diving into science-backed strategies based on research on women's bodies. So let's break down the basics. From a biological standpoint, women's bodies are designed for survival and hormonal balance, whether we're having babies or not. Our bodies are wired to store fat differently, react more strongly to stress, and protect muscle and energy levels when fuel is low, which is why undereating and overtraining often backfire on us. Remember the chronic cardio lessons? So here are some key differences. We naturally carry more essential fat, averaging it around 20% versus 15% in men, because our hormones highly depend on it. We have stronger lower bodies, but naturally less upper body strength, making resistance training even more important for muscle balance. And our metabolism is highly sensitive to stress and calorie intake, which means that cutting too many calories and chronic fasting and excessive exercise can slow it down and cause hormonal imbalances, leading to chronic illnesses over time. So while calorie counting and long fasts might work for men very easily, women may see initial changes, but over time it often leads to fat retention, hormone imbalances, and burnout, and just overall metabolic disaster. So unlike men, our hormones fluctuate throughout the month, affecting energy, metabolism, cravings, and recovery. Because of these, stress, sleep, and food intake impact us much more than they do men. Chronic stress and cortisol, if we're constantly stressed from undereating and overtraining or lack of sleep, our bodies store more fat, slow metabolism, and disrupt hormones. Food and metabolism. Our hormones respond to nutrient density, not just calories. So skipping meals or restricting too much can cause fat storage and muscle loss. Sleep and cravings. Poor sleep, like you know, leads to increased hunger hormone, ghrelin, and reduces satiety hormone, leptin, and leads to higher cravings and more stress. If you've done it in the past, if you've been eating less, exercising more, and feeling exhausted without results, it's not your fault. Your body is protecting you and trying to keep you alive. And it's time to give it what it needs and stop damaging it and depriving it. Now, let's talk about fasting. Fasting is very popular right now, but women's bodies respond very differently than men's. When we fast for too long, cortisol rises, signaling stress. Biologically and from an evolutionary perspective, women's bodies prioritize energy conservation to maintain hormonal balance and fertility. Unlike men, who evolved to stay sharp and focused during fasting to hunt for food in times of famine, women's bodies respond by preserving energy, slowing metabolism, and storing fat to ensure survival and reproductive health. And so, in general, metabolism slows down to conserve energy. And for us, fat storage increases instead of burning fat as a survival response. For men, fasting helps tap into fat stores. But for women, it triggers a survival response that can cause irregular cycles, hormone imbalances, and even muscle loss. So does this mean that we as women can never fast? No, but it needs to be gentle and intentional. Ideally, we would stick to a 12 to 14 hour overnight fast. For example, you stop eating dinner around 6 p.m. and have breakfast between 6 to 8 a.m. and never fast after intense exercise. Your body needs fuel to recover more than men, so eat within a 30 to 45 minute window after working out. Highly important for recovery. And then, as you know, prioritize protein and whole nutrient-dense foods instead of skipping meals. And instead of forcing your body into fasting, support it with nourishment and follow your natural hunger cues with real food like you've been doing. I hope you've been using your weekly meal prep example. I hope it's useful. So one of the biggest mistakes women make is ignoring their menstrual cycle. It is not just about your period. It affects your energy, metabolism, cravings, health, and workouts throughout the month. So for example, in a 28-day cycle, we have days 1 to 14 as the follicular phase. This is where your hormones are low and your energy might be a little bit higher. Estrogen is rising, making you feel strong and more resilient. So this is the best time for strength training, a short and brief high intensity workout, or sprinting. And your body handles complex carbs better in this follicular phase. So you can fuel your workouts with options like complex carbs, like sweet potatoes. I have a favorite recipe. I'm gonna link it for you over here and in your module so you can check it out. And days 15 to 28, for that 28-day cycle, you are on the luteal phase, which is higher hormones, which means maybe slightly less energy. This is because progesterone rises, leading to water retention. So you might feel bloated, but you didn't suddenly gain 3 pounds of fat. It might be just water. And fatigue may set in, and insulin sensitivity decreases, making your body less efficient at processing carbs. This is why stabilizing blood sugar levels becomes crucial during this phase. So we want to increase a little bit of protein and healthy fats to support muscle maintenance, steady energy, and recovery. During this phase, your body is working harder, building the endometrial lining and burning more calories, so it needs extra fuel. During this luteal phase, you can also prioritize lower intensity workouts like walking, yoga, or strength training with longer rest periods or lower weights to work with your body's natural rhythm. Tracking your cycle helps you anticipate these shifts and work with your body instead of feeling frustrated when things don't go as expected. Instead of forcing what doesn't work, you're learning to listen and understand and support your body. And that's empowering. There really is no one-size-fits-all approach. Every woman's cycle is unique. Maybe you feel strong enough for high-intensity workouts during your luteal phase, so your second half of the cycle, or maybe you need more rest. But tracking helps you recognize these patterns in energy, cravings, and hunger cues so you can make informed choices that truly support your unique health and goals. And so this is exactly what I do with my patients. We track their cycles, understand how they feel at different phases, and build a plan that works for their own body, not against it. Once you start paying attention, it all becomes second nature and making your journey simpler, not harder. Before we move on, let's talk a little bit about something super important: hormonal birth control. Contraceptives don't regulate your cycle, they shut it down. They mask symptoms rather than fixing the root cause. And over time, this can lead to nutrient deficiencies, hormone imbalances, and metabolic issues. If your cycle is irregular or painful or missing, it's a sign that something deeper is going on, whether it's stress, nutrition, or hormone imbalances. But the solution isn't always a pill. It's supporting your body with what it's missing out on and removing what is damaging it. Which is what we've been focusing and discussing throughout this challenge. I hope you've been trusting this process and making lifestyle changes. Give it time. Your hormones need proper nutrition, sleep, and stress management to regulate. If you commit, you may find that your body starts to naturally restore balance and regulate your cycle on its own. And so lastly, let's talk about high-intensity exercise done correctly. As women, we benefit from short bursts of high-intensity training, like 15 to 20 minutes of HIIT or sprinting. So what is the best approach for this? Sprint maybe for 30 seconds all out at your max effort, and then rest for 1 minute, and then repeat 3 to 4 times. Only do these once every 7 to 10 days, and only when you feel 100%. If you feel sluggish, stop. And when done right, these short sessions boost your metabolism and energy, support hormone balance, strengthen bones, and improve cardiovascular health. But on the flip side, too much HIIT creates stress, spikes cortisol, and sends your body into a survival mode. More is not better in this case. The key is balance. So today's action plan: start by tracking your cycle if you haven't done it already. Pay attention to your cycle length, so how many days from the first day of your period to the next. Your bleeding patterns, is it light, heavy, or does it change throughout? Your energy levels, when do you feel your strongest? When do you feel a little bit drained? Where do you feel more energized? And your mood shifts. Notice changes in motivation, stress, or emotions. Maybe you're more sensitive, maybe you're more confident. Hunger and cravings. Are there any days when you're hungrier or craving more carbs? Log these patterns into your journal or app throughout the month and notice the patterns. So use what you learn to adjust your workouts, nutrition, and recovery, working for your body. Because the more you understand your cycle, the stronger, more energized, and in control you'll feel. This is about empowering yourself. Your body is always communicating with you, and now you're learning to listen. Second action step: download your 28-day cycle guide. This is just a guide so you can adjust accordingly, but it's filled with tips for how to navigate your unique cycle in terms of exercise, nutrition, and stress management. Every woman's cycle is unique. Adjust this to fit your own rhythm and track your own patterns and trust the process. So you've got this. Listen to your body, support it, and keep going. I'm here if you need anything. You can message me anytime through your Practice Better app or send me an email. I'd love to work with you in my one-on-one weekly coaching program. I will see you tomorrow.